Hey, good afternoon, folks. It's Miles from the Riff Circle, where we talk all things music. And today we're going to try and do the impossible, right? We're going to try and rank our top 10 best guitarists of all time. It's an impossible task. I was putting this list together, and the amount of people you're trying to fit in a little space is impossible. In doing this list, I immediately realized I had to do two other videos. One of them is going to be coming out soon. It's going to be the top 15 most underrated guitarists of all time. And the other is going to be the top 10 best female guitarists of all time. Two categories that I think need some love. Because as I'm putting this list together, I'm like, man, these are some underrated guys that never quite make this list. But they do so well, and they do so much, and they've done so much and mean so much and put out music that means so much to us, and they just get edged out on this list. So, spoiler, I'm talking guys like Steve Howe, Alex Lifeson, Rory Gallagher, just killer guitar players that never quite get there. So that list, we're gonna have 15 on that list, and I think it lands in a good spot. We're also going to be doing, like I mentioned, top 10 female guitarists of all time, which has been a cool video to put together. I've just started putting it together. I'm learning a lot. It's very cool. I got a lot of if you folks catch that video, there's going to be a lot of good homework assignments to go. Hey, check out this guitarist, check out this song. That's what we try to do at Riff Circle. We try to give you new music to take on and give you fun assignments to go do. Like, hey, check these things out. So don't miss those two videos that are upcoming. Subscribe to the channel if you like that sort of thing, so that way you don't miss them. And today, we're just going to have fun here today. Okay, your list is not going to be the exact same as mine, but hopefully you like my justification of why I put people where I put them. And if you have your different list, put it down below in the comments. Give me your top 5 in the comments and make your case. Your list is going to look different than mine, and that's good. That's cool. I'm sure I missed folks. I'm sure there are guys, you try to squeeze in 50 guys into 10, you just can't do it. Okay. But we are going to do some honorable mentions as well in a little bit. And that's the guys that didn't quite make the list, but sometimes do make other lists, and they don't quite fit into the underrated category either. They're just honorable mention guys, and could very well at any time be slotted into like numbers 5 through 10. These honorable mention guys. I'll read them off right now. Here's my own. I'm just going to go through them real quick. Honorable mentions. Again, they could be numbers 5 through 10 on any given list, anytime. Okay, Prince, all around brilliant musician. Keith Richards, underrated amount of killer riffs. George Harrison, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Slash, great tone, memorable riffs, great solos. Randy Rhoads, just lightning on the guitar, killer riffs. You have B.B. King, Robert Johnson, two foundational gods who just laid the groundwork. You have Carlos Santana, amazing tone, impressive career. Frank Zappa, just a killer musician overall. I mean, just, again, can't fit all these guys in 10. So, those are the honorable mentions. Those guys are not going to make the cut. But I wouldn't consider those guys underrated either. Everyone kind of knows Randy Rhoads is excellent. We know Keith Richards is excellent. We know George Harrison's amazing, and Slash and those guys. So, and I know there's folks I missed too on the honorable mention list. You just can't do them all. Guys like Angus Young and stuff like that. Just they're all there. I know they exist. You just can't get to them all. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to hop into the top 10. Just two things. I'm going to put in the description of this video an underrated song or solo that I think these top 10 guys, these songs or solos don't get enough credit for, right? We all know Stairway to Heaven. We all know Comfortably Numb. We know these songs. That's not the point. Riff Circle, we try and give you something new. Like I said, something fun to go check out. So those will be in the description. Check them out at the end of the video. And then the last kind of note I want to touch on before we hop into this list is how I'm ranking these guys, what my lens is, because no matter what you do, when you rank something like this, all of these guys are so good. You can't. One is not objectively better than the other. There has to be some bias, some subjective input on all these lists. Okay, and I just want to go through what mine is, so at least you understand. Even if you don't agree with my picks, you can at least see where I'm coming from. Okay, so for me, I'll always take emotion over speed. Speed is cool. I got a couple of guys on here that are fast as lightning, so speed's not nothing. But for me, emotion over speed. I'm looking at body of work over time. And by body of work, I mean, what bands did these guys play in, and what kind of albums did they put out? What kind of solos did they contribute? What kind of riffs did they come up with? Okay, just their overall body of work over the decades. And a big one for me is touch and tone. I have to be able to know who these guys are by hearing one note. That just separate, because they can all play each other's stuff fairly well, right? They're all beyond expert level at being a guitarist. But if you have your own sound, your signature sound that you've been working on, and that's your stamp, that to me means a lot. It just being recognizable is what separates the underrated from the top 10. So that's kind of the lens that I'm working with here. Hopefully that kind of leads you into understanding my placement for some of these. Okay, we're going to start with number 10. The blues master himself, who was with us for a little blip, too short, Mr. Duane Allman from the Allman Brothers. This guy, what he did best and why he's on my list is he's one of the very few guys who can be playing live and incorporate improvisation like jazz into blues, right? Which is why you get these big, long live tracks, these big solos. I mean, the guy's flying off the top of his head, which is extremely hard to do. He was just a guitarist. That's a phrase you're going to hear a couple times throughout this video, where other guys revere him, right? That's also a little bit a part of my lens too, or what I think is important is like, how do professionals feel about this guy? Okay, let me read you a quote from Eric Clapton about Duane Allman: "The musical brother that I never had but wished I did." Okay, if Eric Clapton says that about you, it means you're in the top 10, in my opinion. Plus what he's done in, again, this amount of time. So a little known fact about Duane Allman: he played 11 of the 14 tracks on Derek and the Dominoes' Layla and other assorted love songs, and helped co-write Layla. So the song by Eric Clapton that we all know, that big monster riff. He played a lot of slide guitar and did some guitar work on most of that album. Eric Clapton flew him down and just fell in love with his playing and just couldn't get enough of him. So it says a lot. His underrated track and solo, the song Dreams off the debut, the 1969 debut of the Allman Brothers. Check out the track Dreams. Underrated for sure. Up next, one guy who I think is underrated. He does not make these top 10 lists enough. Completely underrated. That's Brian May from Queen. This guy, nobody sounds like him, quite literally, because he built his own guitar and tone chain, right? Very similar to Boston's Tom Scholz, who's, spoiler alert, making the 15 underrated. That's a whole nother topic for another day, but Brian May, very similar. Brian May sounds like Brian May. And what else makes him so good is the fact that he brilliantly wrote and performed solos that mirrored Freddie Mercury's like anthemic, operatic arc and explosive in delivery of what Queen was trying to do, right? So Queen's trying to give you this big theatrical delivery, and Brian May knew better than anyone how to fit these guitar pieces and solos in these tracks to take Queen from here to up here. And part of the reason they were so successful, I think if you take Brian May out of Queen, there's no one, not even anyone on this list you can put in there that gives them the same success. No one can do it like Brian May for Queen. He was a magical fit for that band, and what that band was able to accomplish is just absurd. Underrated solo from him off News of the World, the song It's Late. Okay, that track is sick. It's killer. Brian May, underrated, just an absolute killer guitarist, killer tone, just amazing. Number 8. Okay, this is how crowded this list is when you got this guy at number 8, you're like, oh my God, I mean, how can you do it? It's impossible. Impressive career, blues master, maybe the god of blues, Eric Clapton. There's a million things you can say about Eric Clapton, right? He's been doing it forever at the highest level. He's insanely good live. I've seen him live. His I Shot the Sheriff solo just ripped the whole roof off Madison Square Garden. It was insane. With him, his phrasing, is amazing. You're going to hear phrasing a lot. Let me give you a good example of what phrasing is. So if you take two people, you have them say the same sentence, and they say, I'm just trying to think of if you've had two people say a sentence says, gee, thank you. I think that was really nice of you. Okay. Or someone else says, gee, thank you. Wow. That was really nice of you. That's phrasing. It's you say you say the same thing differently. It's your delivery, the space between the notes, how you're able to use touch and tone to deliver emotion and to talk through your instrument. Okay. Eric Clapton's phrasing is insanely good. He's a multi-genre guy, right? He did blues with Mail. He did psych blues with Cream. He's got this reggae stuff he dabbles with too, which is really cool, which I think goes under the radar a bit, but he does have some reggae riffs that he dabbles with, which is really cool. And his touch and tone are instantly recognizable. I mean, the second it's Eric Clapton. One of my memories of Eric Clapton is I was completely stopped in my tracks when I was listening to Roger Waters' The Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking, because that's his first solo album coming off of Pink Floyd, and the animosity, and he's going to hire the best guitarist he can for that job just to kind of spite Gilmour, or at least be able to compete and say, listen, I don't need you. Went with Eric Clapton for a reason. The guy is an absolute legend. And I remember hearing him on that track. I stopped the record immediately and was like, who is this on this? Who is on guitar here? Of course, it was Eric Clapton. Underrated solo from him is Have You Ever Loved a Woman, 1994 at the Fillmore. Crazy, crazy solo. Go check that one out. Number 7, I think others could have this guy higher and it would make perfect sense. And I'll get to why he's 7 and not maybe 4 or 5 for me. But he is without a doubt, guitarist. Okay, professionals think this guy is the end-all, be-all. It's Mr. Jeff Beck. Okay, I'm going to read you some quotes, and I had to trim these down. I had like 4 or 5 more. I just had to make room here because it was getting redundant. But I'm going to read you some quotes from some famous players about Jeff Beck, and that'll give you the picture that you need to why he's on this list. Okay, Jimmy Page. Jeff Beck is probably the best guitarist I've ever seen. Eric Clapton. Jeff Beck is the greatest guitar player on the planet. Eddie Van Halen. Jeff Beck is the best there is. I can't touch him. Brian May. Jeff Beck is the guitarist's guitarist. David Gilmour, when asked who his favorite guitarist is, probably Jeff Beck. Who else has that resume? Who else has people saying that about them? Nobody. Nobody does. Maybe Knopfler. Maybe. I know he's another guitarist. Clapton is too, but not like that. I mean, Jeff Beck, he's one of those guys, same thing as Clapton, same exact scenario, as a matter of fact. I was listening to a Roger Waters solo, Amused to Death solo album, and it opens up with these very quiet strokes of color, these licks. Instantly, track 1, I stopped. I said, who is that? Sure, that can't be Eric Clapton again. And sure enough, Jeff Beck all over that album, brought on to do Amused to Death by Roger Waters. His dynamics are crazy. When we talk about dynamics, playing the soft notes low and being able to play the big power notes high, his dynamics are insane. He can whisper and then yell, and it all fits with his guitar. It's insane. Jeff Beck, guitarist, underrated song solo, Because We've Ended as Lovers. Go check that one out. The reason why I don't rank Jeff Beck higher is maybe he wanted this in his career, I don't know, but he never quite got there with a band. And some of you might not care about that. It's like, well, Miles, I'm just listening to him play guitar. I don't care what he does with a band. And that's perfectly, that's viable. That's a valid argument. But for me, one of the things I love about Keith Richards is like, look what he's done is his, with the Rolling Stones, his body of work is almost enough to get him there. And it's like, I think Jeff Beck was just missing that little piece, and maybe he didn't want it there. I don't know. Number 6, just the fastest player in the West, Mr. Eddie Van Halen. Changed the game. He is electric. He is lightning. Imagine you're coming off of seeing guys. So you're late to the game if you're Eddie Van Halen. Okay. So you've already had guys like George Harrison, Keith Richards, Jimi Hendrix, Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck, all these guys, Eric Clapton, they've all been there. So you show up a little bit later and you have to compete with these guys. Good luck. And Eddie Van Halen's one of the only guys that was like, yeah, I can compete with these guys. I can show them something new. Watch this. I can't imagine hearing Eruption for the first time when it came out during its debut. Imagine being the first time you ever put that or heard that on the radio. Your head would have melted. I'm too young for that. I was born in 88. For those of you who were around and heard that for the first time, what was it like? Put it in the comments, because I can only imagine. Underrated solo, Drop Dead Legs. I love this solo. It's super underrated. Here's why I love it. It showcases other things Eddie can do other than just lightning. This dude can do it all, but a lot of people don't know him for all of it. And so on Drop Dead Legs, that solo and that guitar work on that song has different phrasing. He allows a little bit of space in between the notes, which he doesn't normally. There's no room because he's going so fast. And he has a different, thicker tone than he normally does, but he still brings that classic speed in throughout that song and the solos. So just a really underrated one, Drop Dead Legs. Number 6, Eddie Van Halen, just incredible. Number 5, going into the top 5 and even top 6, I'll put in Eddie Van Halen. I don't see how you could, I guess even maybe 7 too, and Clapton. I don't see how you could take these guys off this top 10 list. Maybe you could take out, maybe you could take out Brian May or Duane Allman. Maybe that's the only room on this list to fit other guys in here. But these other 8 are pretty much locks, I think. Number 5. But again, this is kind of where the objectivity goes out the window and the subjectivity, my lens, what we talked about at the beginning, kind of it increases more because I'm shifting in the top 5. Okay. So number 5 for me, the riff master. No one does it like him with riffs. Tony Iommi. The dude is an absolute legendary pioneer. His riffs, for example, Paranoid, they're not always the hardest, most technical things to do. But that doesn't matter. He was the first one to do it, and he did it repeatedly over and over. Oh, by the way, while also being extremely technical, while also having the insanely long solos, while being an all-around musician and producing some of those Black Sabbath albums, or being a major part in the writing process, while also inventing the heaviest, doomiest riffs of all time and inventing that genre. I mean, this guy did it all. He really did. He's the riff master. Underrated solo from him, and what I think is the most underrated song of the entire Black Sabbath catalog is Dirty Women. It's the final track off the most underrated, maybe, Black Sabbath album of all time, Technical Ecstasy. People don't like that one, but I think when you get to the end and you cap it off, it's got, that album's got one or two misses on it. It's not nearly as strong as the previous ones, like the first 6, but it's got 1 or 2 fluff tracks on there that just like kind of are light, but if you boil it down to the meat and potatoes of like the good ones on there, and then you end with Dirty Women and you hear him just shredding the whole time, insanely underrated track, just amazing. Top 4 here, folks. I mean, it doesn't get better than this for me personally. Number 4, the man with probably the best dynamics and the best control, I think. And again, dynamics, being able to whisper, but also being able to hit the noise when you need to. Number 4, Mr. Mark Knopfler, Dire Straits. He puts the perfect amount of space in the notes. He's another guitarist, and no one is better at subtlety. Those super soft, light licks that he can do on these little riffs and in and out. No one does it like him. These little filler licks that he puts in and little strokes of color that he's putting in everywhere when he's making these songs. It's just unmatched. It's insane. I think he has the best dynamics of all time. He is nimble on the fretboard like nobody else. I was talking to my dad the other day about Mark Knopfler and what he reminds me of when he's playing. It's like wrapping a fretboard in silk and just pulling on it. It just sounds like it's just sliding off. But there's 20 notes in there. It's like, how does he do that? I don't know. Not only that, look at his body of work. It's incredible. And He's the creator of the greatest riff of all time. Might not be arguable. You could maybe argue there's a couple sick riffs out there, but this one here, Money for Nothing, come on. When that drops, it's like maybe you could say Paranoid or Crazy Train. You know, there are a couple others that you could make a case for, but Money for Nothing is just an absolute grand slam. It's unbelievably good. So he's got a lot going for him on the boxes that check, and the emotion's all there. He's got it all. And guitarists love him. I don't have all the quotes like I did with Jeff Beck, but they're there. Trust me, I looked them up. Mark Knopfler, number 4. Into the top 3 here. Number 1 is not going to be what you think it is, but stay with me for number 1 because I think I make a good case. Number 3, the most perfect player with imperfect moments. He's the whole package. Mr. Jimmy Page, Led Zeppelin. Okay? He's the only guy on the list where his imperfect moments improve whatever he's doing, which is unfathomable. How's that possible? The guy he's got and this is going to sound worse than I'm meaning it for it to sound, but he's a messy style. He's everywhere and he's not perfect at all. And it makes him better. How's that possible? Okay. He's the whole package. He's a songwriter, producer. He's got the X factor. He oozes the X factor when he's on stage. He's that X factor, which, Robert Plant had just as much X factor. It's that swag, that cool, that like, how is it possible he's that cool? He's just got it all. And he looks like he's barely trying up there. I mean, yeah, he's drenched in sweat, but he's got the bow and he's got the double neck and, what he's written. Give me a break. Stairway to Heaven. Cashmere. I mean, come on. Everything he's done has just been absolutely insane. His solos are absolutely incredible. Bring It On Home. I mean, he's done it all. He's everything. For me, what keeps him at 3 and never number 1 or 2 for me is his career seemed to fall short after Led Zeppelin. Here's a guy who just had an endless amount of things he did with Led Zeppelin, and then Led Zeppelin ends. He does some session work. He makes some guest appearance on Robert Plant solo albums here and there. Does his own solo album, just one of them, and then kind of fades to black. And it's like, as a fan, you're just robbed when you see that. You're like, okay, you didn't really do anything since the early 80s. What the hell, man? It hurts as a fan. Because I think he had more there. He just decided not to do it. I don't know why. He did some touring with Black Crowes too, which is cool. But Jimmy Page, number 3, the most perfect imperfect player of all time. Number 1 and 2 here. Number 2, I would say, is the most similar to Jimmy Page, in my opinion, where the guy is not playing perfectly all the time, but his little bits where he's not playing perfect actually make him better. I think objectively, if I take my bias out of it, I think this guy's the greatest of all time. Okay. Jimi Hendrix. Okay. Got the t-shirt on, right? He's just the best. I mean, like Jeff Beck, like Mark Knopfler, he's the guitarist in the sense that everyone tries to emulate him. I think he's the most influential guitarist of all time. And the reason I say that, I don't know if you folks are familiar with Rick Beato, but he's a legendary. I mean, the guy's a savant producer. He's got his own YouTube channel with millions of subscribers. He does great interviews and does great videos where he really breaks down music and songs and delivers to you, the listener, what he's hearing from a producer standpoint. It's very cool. Anyway, he had a video that came out. And it was Guess These 20 Guitarists by just hearing the first note. Okay, don't go to that video. Check it out after this video, though. And, I think most of us going into that video are like, I bet I can get some of these right. And man, the comments were very similar. The comments said 2 things. What a humbling experience, which I agree with. You hear one note and you're like, okay, I think I know who that is, but it could be anybody. I don't know. Humbling because it's harder to do than you think. And then the second comment, which is what I felt, is so I got a little bit more than half correct on it. Some of the guys, there's like maybe a handful of guys on that list I'd never heard of before, but for the ones I couldn't identify, I thought the same thing, and all the comments agreed with me. Everyone sounds like all of these sound like Jimi Hendrix, and that's because of how influential this guy is. When you pluck a note out of someone else's solo, and you're like, could be Hendrix, because they're trying to emulate him so badly because of his influence is so great. Just one of the best to ever do it, and he is the Jimmy Page had some X factor. This guy is the X factor. He's the coolest of the cool. He's just the raddest of the rad. No effort. When you watch this guy play, he's doing things that are incredible, and he has the ability to play extremely pretty songs like Little Wing. That song is gorgeous. It's insane. And then he'll have these wild, roaring motorcycle solos where you're like, this thing, he's driving like a beast of a good. I mean, the sound that's coming out of his amps, it's insane. That dynamic is crazy. Only he can do that. Underrated solo, Hey Baby, New Rising Sun, live at Berkeley, which I think is his best, easily most underrated live album of all time, live at Berkeley. That live album's insane. Interesting fact, he has another one done off the Isle of Wight. He has Jimi Hendrix live at the Isle of Wight, which is another sick one. However, two completely different tracks, and the Berkeley one is superior in my opinion. The Isle of Wight version, the fans at that festival were going insane. They were rioting half the time, just collapsing things. The schedule completely collapsed, the band schedule. Hendrix didn't go on until 2 a.m., okay, they had a horrible travel day. Their travel was botched completely. They get on at 2 a.m. They're exhausted, visibly. Go look at the video, visibly exhausted. And that solo, the Hey Baby, New Rising Sun solo on the Isle of Wight, you can hear it come through. It's more instinctual. Like they're so tired, they're relying off of just instincts. And it's kind of interesting. It's different. And the live at the Berkeley, they're geared up. The fans are going crazy, and that is just a powerhouse version. So check them both out, but I like the live at the Berkeley best. Number one spot. Okay, everyone has their own number one spot. Me personally, this checked all the boxes of my lens that we talked about earlier, better than any other guy could do it. And for me, this is the deciding factor to me. This guy at my number one spot is note for note the greatest of all time. Meaning, I can give all these guys, these 10 guys on this list, this top 10 list, I can give them all 3 notes and go play these 3 notes. Only one guy is going to play them better than anyone else. And it's Mr. David Gilmour from Pink Floyd. Impeccable tone. Greatest tone of all time on a guitar, in my opinion. That's subjective. And has more emotion poured into one note than any other guitarist who's ever lived. The only guy that even comes close, there's 2 guys that come close, in my opinion, and that's Eric Clapton and Mark Knopfler, also on the list, obviously. Note for note, the best, I think, and I don't even think it's close. Nobody understands the importance of silence between the notes like Gilmour does. Again, we talk about phrasing. It's like you can have a sentence said by 2 different people. How it's delivered by one person compared to the next is the difference maker. His phrasing is unmatched. The way he can deliver notes is unmatched. He cradles the notes with care and just delivers each and every one of them very purposefully. Very much the opposite of like a Van Halen or a Randy Rhoads, which are not bad by any means, but that's the flash and the speed and the electricity you feel, which some people love, and I love it. But every note is just handpicked by Gilmour and given to you very carefully. That to me has value. Oh, and also the body of work is insane, right? It's insane. The work he's done with Pink Floyd, the work he's done as a solo artist is crazy. He's got the greatest solo of all time, Comfortably Numb. I'll Die on That Hill. I think Stairway to Heaven's a better song, but the two solos in Comfortably Numb, I don't think can be touched by anyone on any solo. I don't think. The whole Animals album is just him shredding, just prog rock shredding from David Gilmour the whole time. And his body of work is just unmatched in terms of the quality, the extent of it. He's just a mountain. He is guitar. The underrated solo for David Gilmour, I think folks should go and check out, is called Your Possible Pasts. And that's off of Pink Floyd's The Final Cut album. Okay, what's so awesome about this solo is it's very unlike Gilmour, the attack and the sound he has. So you can understand when they're doing The Final Cut, this is a Roger Waters solo project, okay? Gilmour even rejects a writing credit on the album, wants nothing to do with it. The band is completely tearing apart at the seams at this point, okay? And so Roger's doing his thing and then says, you know what, it's going under the Pink Floyd name. I need your guitar on this. So David shows up to do the session work on the guitar, lays down the guitar parts that he needs to, and this solo in particular, for me personally, and you know, this could be true, this could be not, but for me, I hear the aggression and the frustration that David is feeling, that Gilmour's feeling about the direction the band's heading in, what they've done and how they're crumbling over ego. And it comes out in that solo on Your Possible Pasts. It's just this sharp turning, abrasive, loud solo from him that's very unusual. And I think it only comes through that way because of the state of the band at the time. And you get to hear David in a light that we don't normally get to hear him in. So check that solo out. It's an absolute must listen to. And let me know your thoughts. Do you think that's maybe why it sounds the way it does? I don't know, but that's how I always feel like it when I hear it. That's my number one pick, folks. That's the list. Okay, we're going to go back through it here. At number 10, Duane Allman, Blues Master. Number 9, probably my highest underrated pick for this list, Brian May from Queen. Blues legend, absolute chameleon, multi-genre, Eric Clapton at number 8. The guitarist, Jeff Beck at number 7. Fastest fingers in the West, Eddie Van Halen at number 6, changed the whole game. Number 5, the riff master and the doom lord himself, Tony Iommi. Number 4, another guitarist, and the best soft hands to ever touch a guitar, Mr. Mark Knopfler, number 4, and also greatest riff ever written, Mark Knopfler, number 4. Number 3, the most perfect, imperfect player of all time, Jimmy Page. Number 2, probably the greatest of all time, if you were to factor in how other guitarists feel and just that X factor, just putting him over the top. No one has X factor like he does, not even close. Something that Gilmour doesn't have much of. You know, he's pretty general, but X factor for Jimmy Page and Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix number 2, and my number 1, David Gilmour. Just note for note, I don't think anyone can touch him. There's the list, folks. What'd you think? Did you learn something new? You got homework to do. You got underrated tracks to go check out. Hit like if you learned something. Subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be doing top 15 underrated guitar players. I have to. Making this list, I was like, I can't leave these guys out. There's too many good guys to put in this list. They need their own. They need their own list. Same with the female guitarists, the women guitarists of this world. They need their own list. I'm learning a lot while I'm doing that episode. It's going to be a lot of fun. Subscribe so you don't miss those. Comment what your list is, and like if you learned something, and always be well, friends, and thanks for sticking with me to the end. Catch you next time. Take care, folks.